Uh, Hello and welcome to SCP-6789. Welcome. So we're going to be reading this, pretty unique. Welcome, 059. 051 has sent you a new private message. Access message. Yes. 9 attached to files we found last week within Site 1's deep well. I wouldn't trouble you with this if not for the fact that the events described herein have never occurred. The initial creation date is approximately 50,000 years back. Please familiarize yourself with them as quickly as possible. 051 has sent you a new file to review. Access files, yes. Accessing file SCP-6789. Iteration 1. 38-18-25. So, SCP-6789. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. The room hosting 67 for SCP and its adjacent chambers are to be cut from employees of Rolanda Steel and the public at large. The sub-basement level of the factory is to be sealed and expunged from the building's blueprints. The sole access to 6789 is to be placed under constant surveillance and armed guard. Due to scientific knowledge that could be gleaned from the SCP, a permanent research team is to be stationed and supplied on site. Notable research developments are to be forwarded to High Command. So yeah, this isn't Siren Head. Yep, this isn't Siren Head. The reason why I have him in my thumbnail is because most people associate this SCP with Siren Head. And this SCP is pretty good. But it's overshadowed by like Siren Head because he's not even a real SCP. The SCP is a roughly 20m x 20m meter area of space located within the sub-basement boiler room of Rolanda General Steel factory in Stochowa, Poland, within which the growth speed of organic material was greatly increased. Despite being shielded from sunlight and isolated to a sufficient source of water, the SCP is capable of holding a microcosm of floral and faunal life. Organisms present within the anomaly have been observed to be sustained indefinitely through unknown means, barring interference from outside phenomena prior to the manifestation of the anomaly. The room hosting the SCP was the main power source for the Rolanda's General Steel factory. This room has since been rendered non-functional due to plant growth. Several eyewitnesses claim to have felt a rhythmic pulsing originating from within the SCP while in its vicinity. These claims are unverified and are being investigated. Addendum 1. The following is an interview with Thomas Williams, current head of Orlando General Steel's technical repair system conducted on 30th April 1890 by Manchester Haas. Begin log. There we go. Recordings on now. Thank you for your cooperation with my teams thus far. I trust you've been briefed on the nature of our organization I have and of the object of interest. Williams nods. Excellent. Please tell me about the basement. Pause. I've been managed steel production in this factory for 20 years. Worked here for 20 before that. I lost my left hand to the steel mill. Seen others there far worse. When I heard there was something wrong with our boiler, I figured it must have been the new house management's been pushing on us. Ever since the war, we've been producing at twice the speed with half the infrastructure. The mechanics told me we had an infestation of some kind. I mean, the conditions were always bad, but this was something different. Why so in the basement? Pause. Well, what did you see? I saw roots sprouting from the ground before my eyes. Hair springing from thin air. Sometimes we would leave the windows open for the animals. For the first time in years, I saw birds flock to these vacant trees. There was a calmness to it. We all felt it. We used to go down there during our breaks and just stand amongst the flowers and the rabbits. Sometimes we'd sleep there and have the most vivid of dreams. It was like we were standing on a conduit for nature itself. Sometimes, if you were quiet and alone, you could feel a great heart pounding on the ground, reverberating in the air around you. I felt not fear but peace. It was a sight to behold. Eventually, I brought it to the bosses. I didn't say too much, and naturally, I never did trust them more than I had to. I asked if we might slow production for a short time, long enough to figure out what we had down there. They didn't seem to understand, refused to see it for themselves. They gave me a shiny new machine and told me to fix the problems. And did you silence Mr. Williams? I didn't want to. They said they'd come after my staff, my family, got wages. I touched the room, tore out the old machine and put the new one in. My men hated me for it, called me a monster for what I made them do. Sounds that place made also burned. Don't know what drove me to follow such a gift of nature, greed, or fear, or both. Silence for several seconds. You let me know if anything happens down there, won't you? I need to know if it can regrow. I must be able to, right? As of now, we have found no activity. You will be kept in the loop as long as you adhere to a prior agreement of confidentiality. I understand. Thank you for your time, Mr. Williams. That will be all for now. End log. Closing statement. 2 days after the conclusion of this interview, James Williams disappeared from his house during the night of 9th, 1890. Efforts to determine his whereabouts have been inconclusive. Addendum. SCP 6789-2 on 2nd, 9th of 1890 on such On-site research teams report the rooms adjacent to SCP-6789 began exhibiting anomalous properties identical with that of SCP-6789. Upon closer examination found that the area of SCP-6789's influence has begun to increase at a steady pace of, of, of 0.6 meters per every 24 hours. Initial efforts to halt the spread of SCP-6789 has failed. Further study is ongoing. Proceed to the next file iteration. Yeah! SCP-6789 Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. The entirety of the area affected by SCP-67. The SCP has been quarantined from the outside world with a official cover story of retrieval of toxic nuclear waste of alchemy war. FMF Kappa 17 Black Liners is currently responsible for the patrolling of the area's border. Counterintelligence operations by IMF Boulder on the Gatekeepers and Winston AIC to raise references and mentions of the city of Skochoa in media and colloquialism and are currently underway. Any individuals retrieved from SCP-6789's area of effect are to be immediately transported to the nearest Foundation base for further research. The SCP is an area formerly known as the city of Skochoa, Poland, first appearing on 1947. SCP-6789 is capable of generating massive vegetation, typically exceeding 20 meters in height. General genetic analysis reveals flora generated by SCP-6789 as an amalgamation of various species of conifers, ferns, shrubs, grasses, herbs, and flowers. It believes more than 79% of Skochoa's area is overgrown by anomalous flora. The entire area of the SCP is capable of generating life through unknown means. This is corroborated by exploration crews reporting that the density of flora and fauna increases as one approaches the geometrical center of SCP-6789. A remote analysis of this area is impossible due to dense foliage, making manned operations the only viable option. The ecology within the SCP is inconsistent. Rarely are the same organisms observed in consecutive explorations, while observed life forms are typically analogous to anomalous species. They frequently possess significant biological discrepancies, suggesting millions of years of speciation occurred within the span of several decades. Flora generated by the SCP has a subsidiary mimetic effect both force humans bearing a cognitive resistance value of less than 20 to lose consciousness. Affected individuals appear to enter a state of stasis, fatally protected from malnourishment or dehydration. It is believed this is responsible for the loss of 98.9% of the civilian population of Cestochoa. Visually, SCP-6789 appears as a large oblong spheroid extending above Cestochoa. Currently, measurements approximate to it be around 15 kilometers in diameter. Only half of this information is visible from the Earth's surface, creating the illusion of a domal bubble. Ground-penetrating radar has confirmed that the spheroid extends an equal distance into the crust. The exterior surface of the SCP is translucent, emits a constant glow of 1100 to 1900 LM, a dull hum of roughly 60 decibels is iridescent, and its surface can be penetrated with relative ease. Addendum 6789-1. The following is a transcript of an exploration mission conducted by Epsilon-3 atypical philosophers focused on re-establishing contact with Base 120. One of the first areas to be overtaken by SCP. The SCP's expansion. This is the last manned exploration into the SCP prior to its neutralization. Exploration Team Epsilon-3. Team Lead E-Alpha. Team members E-Beta, E-Charlie. Command Watts Standard Alice Jackson Base 27. Begin log. As camera feed starts, reveal that E-Alpha is standing on the wall directly leading to the industrial complex housing Base 120. Surrounding the team are numerous buildings overtaken by the SCP's growth. The camera focuses on a structure that appears to be fully integrated into a massive grove of trees. Sound off. There is E-Beta checking in. Charlie here too. Read you loud and clear. Currently mission is to establish contact with 120 and any surviving personnel. Civilians are to be detained and escorted to the border where Kappa will take care of them. Is that clear as crystal, Captain? Alright, Command, we are moving in now. Understood, Alpha. Moving south to the road, Epsilon-3 encounters a large bus blocking path. From within it, less buses are growing and spread into the surrounding terrain. Command, civilian vehicle has been found blocking the road. Permission to search for civilians. Permission granted. Alpha. Team approaches the door and enters the base. The vehicle. As they do so, one of them notes that the rear door is already open. No signs of struggle are visible. Numerous personal items, including backpacks and bags, are seen around the seats. All of them appear to be abandoned. See anything negative? Interior is empty. There's grapes in the engine. What? Grapes in the engine? Charlie motions for Alpha to walk the front of the car. Walking towards his camera reveals that the hood is open, for which several grapevines are entwined within. Alpha picks one from a vine near the battery and puts in a small pouch. Don't tell me you're gonna eat that. Alpha chuckles and picks an additional 3 grapes off of a vine. Keep moving forward. 120 should be up ahead in just a bit. The team exits through a rear door of the camera and continues down the road. Base 120 is seen in the distance. The camera pans to reveal several mountain bikes scattered on the ground. Plant growth is thickened around them. Several birds are seen nesting in the bike spokes. Alpha is advised to ignore them and continue to base 120. 30 minutes of extraneous dialogue removed. Epsilon 3 nears base 120, despite being a relatively new facility. Nearly all of it is heavily weathered and covered in a dense coat of mosses. Windows and doors are blanketed by a thinnet of vines. All of these plants seem to connect to the grass and shrubbery around the building, creating an illusion of a hill. Whoa! As E-Beta walks up towards the base 120, he touches the vines covering one of the windows. She cuts off the segment, smells it, scents, and closes her eyes. Kudzu, The vine is called kudzu, grew on a plant in Georgia. These things could kill a tree. Wrapping it in vines choke the lie of it. I'd like to be here. I mean, they could. Don't call it an anomaly for no reason, do they? Let's get there. Charlie and Beta began to cut through the floor, revealing a damaged reinforced door. Alpha attaches a winch to the door frame. On 3, 2, 1, 3. 3, 1. On 3, 1, 2, 3. The door is quite open. Epsilon 3 appears into the above ground sections of the base. It appears abandoned. Command, we have gained access to 120. Do we have a permission to enter? No response. Command, can you read us? No response. Sigh. Noting that contact with command